And it's about half past the hour right now. The Conservative Political Action Conference, a.k.a. CPAC, is happening right now in Dallas. The conference kicking off Thursday with a long list of speakers through the weekend. Among the biggest names on Thursday, the Prime Minister of Hungary, labeling himself a, quote, old-fashioned freedom fighter and comparing progressive liberals with communists. NewsNation's Robert Sherman joining us live from Dallas. Robert, what are we expecting to see this weekend?
Well, it's going to be a lot of big names here, Adrian, that are going to be out here at CPAC this week. And we've already seen a few of those people. You mentioned the Prime Minister of Hungary was here as well. Here's a list of some of the other people who are of note who will be here this weekend. You have, of course, the former Vice President Donald Trump, Senators Ted Cruz from Texas, Rick Scott from Florida, Governor Greg Abbott out of the state of Texas. He spoke here yesterday. That's a key one, as there's such an emphasis on keeping Texas red, as a lot of their marketing material has it. But there are some big names that are not in attendance this weekend. You have Governor Ron DeSantis out of Florida, Governor Kristi Noem, South Dakota, former Vice President Mike Pence, and Nikki Haley, the former ambassador to the UN. This is an event which is really dedicated to conservatives from across the country coming together to talk about what ideas and what policies and what strategies are really landing with their base. Here's what we've heard as we've walked around this convention center. Take a listen.
Inflation is probably the biggest one right now.
I want the border wall built.
I think there's going to be a big red wave. I think we are going to do very well.
So we've heard that phrase a lot here, the big red wave. A lot of people hoping that this will allow Republicans to take back the House and Senate here. That being said, one thing that we are waiting on is the results of the CPAC straw poll, which should put some empirical data into the mix here to show us what is landing with conservative voters, what issues matter most to them, which politicians they like the most. That'll all be very telling, which will come out Saturday. Adrian?
Robert, have Republicans presented any real solutions or new potential policies that would address some of the problems that voters are bringing up right now?
No, we haven't really seen any policies or solutions that break from the norm when it comes to a lot of conservative and Republican politics here. I will tell you this, though. You do speak to a lot of people. There is a growing consensus here among conservatives that a lot of people believe, based upon what they've seen from the current administration, that a lot of the policies that they've been preaching about for years would be best for the country at this point. That is, of course, their perspective here. But a long way to go here this weekend. We're expecting a lot of big topics to be top of mind here. The border and immigration being key ones, inflation being others, global politics as well. So there's a lot being discussed here this weekend. A lot is sure to come out of it.
Yeah, and you could say both parties preaching and proselytizing their solutions, but there are a lot of liberals who are concerned about what's happening at the border or with crime. There are a lot of conservatives who believe that the federal or the Supreme Court was wrong in overturning Roe v. Wade. So it's interesting to see how people fit in their boxes today. Robert, thank you so much. Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.